Redditors, have you ever gotten an ick from a potential partner or love interest that instantly killed your attraction to them? If so, what happened? Talking about our interests, and after I listened to him blab about his landscaping business, I went to talk about my interests and he interrupted me to say, "Wow, you really have nothing interesting to say, do you?" The amount of time he spent plotting revenge, usually against his parents or ex-wife, should have been spent introspectively and on getting his life back on track. We broke up shortly thereafter. Then we tried to reconcile. Then he smoked meth in front of me. And that was the end of that. Grabbed me by the face on the first date, stroked under my eyes and said, "You need to take better care of yourself. Sir, I'm a divorced 37yo with kids, and those under eye circles were passed down from my grandmother, they're family heirlooms. And get your hands off my face, we just met and this is not a Nicholas Sparks movie." Had a guy once whose car smelled so bad I had to try not to throw up while sticking my head out the window. He couldn't smell it. I thought I was going to die. Turns out he forgot about a double cheeseburger in the back of his car for over 2 weeks in the hot sun. I don't know what bothered me more, the smell or the fact that it didn't bother him. Literally every single problem she had was someone else's fault. Even when there was proof it was her fault, she would argue non-stop that it was someone else's. She got in a car wreck and called insurance over and over again to tell them that it was the other person's fault. They checked the computer in her car because it saved her speed she was going right before the wreck. It told them everything they needed to know and she still denied it. He bullied someone in front of me. Instant disgust. Found out the reason he rented the house next door to his parents was so his mom would make his meals, wash his clothes, etc. Had the audacity to say, "Let me call my mom," when I mentioned I was a little hungry. She constantly thought everyone wanted to fuck her all the time, even strangers. At first I was interested in her because she seemed really cool and funny, but then it became apparent that literally everything out of her mouth was cool and funny. It was impossible to have a real conversation, even a casual one, instead it was constant Arrested Development lines and sarcasm. She replaced the word dollars with doll hairs, which I chuckled at the first time, but she said it every time, like she was trying to earn Reddit karma in real-life conversations. Drove me nuts. First red flag, he wanted me to drive because he had an interlock. Second, he talked about biting the ear off his ex's new boyfriend. Third was the jugs of urine scattered in his living room. There was no second date. In college I was seeing a girl who lived in student residence with me, but on another floor. She would always talk about how another guy, Tom, on her floor was obsessed with her and would show me texts between them. She said she only talked to him because he's harmless and that they're friends. I never met him. After a week, her ex-friend from high school pulled me aside and told me not to trust her. She said that the girl I was seeing is a notorious liar and that Tom doesn't exist. That she added her own number in her phone as Tom, would text herself, and then delete the sent messages. The only reason her ex-friend knew is because she saw the text message exchange happen in the reflection of a mirror when they were in the same room. I was close with front desk and asked if they could look up the names from that floor. They said yes, and told me that there was no guy named Tom on her floor. I noped out of that real quick. She was best friends with another girl who she constantly spoke shit about when said friend wasn't around. My brief GF bought me some hair care products before she came over because it was right by her house. In return I said I would go grocery shopping and make her a nice dinner. I thought this to be an even exchange. That night I found her looking through my trash for the receipt for the groceries to make sure that the $30 she spent on me was equal to the amount I spent on her dinner. Edit, just to clarity before it becomes two man vs woman. I saw her parents do this to her. It was her upbringing. She did this in every aspect of her life, which gave me the ick, but she did not have very good role models. Dated a guy who seemed chill but kept talking about social media and how people/exes were scheming against him. I believed him at first until it got to a point where he thought things like a photo someone put up was an indicator that they were getting him back when these people were literally just doing normal things and posting normal stuff. I think he was schizophrenic, but it was really unsettling. Months later he rang me out of the blue to ask me about a link between his ex, myself and a friend. The link was butterflies, and because of this link he thought we were conspiring against him. Making assumptions about me on the first date, I suppose someone like you, or a girl like you, wouldn't understand. I am literally right here, ask me. Don't tell me what my life is or is like. Anyway, eventually I got up and left. They messaged me what my problem is, so I wrote back something to the effect of, "A boy like you wouldn't understand even if I told you." What television series had the biggest bullshit finale? There was a once pretty famous Spanish TV sitcom called Los Serrano, about a Spanish family, and it ran for 5 years. They basically turned the plot into a shit show, with the wife of the protagonist dying, 2 of his children involved in incest, and the other ending up in juvie. Pretty dark stuff for a comical sitcom. In the final episode, the father went to end his life, and when he does it, he just wakes up as if nothing happened. Nothing as in, the actual whole 8 seasons, it was just a dream. That's the ending, the guy waking up at the start of the series to a normal fucking family. Which was also extremely weird because his children were obviously grown up but were put in kids' clothing and hairstyles and acted like kids. To this day this is still referenced in Spain as a meme. Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. IIRC, I literally said that's fucking bullshit during the last episode. Star Trek, Enterprise. Hey, let's make the last episode a holodeck episode about 2 characters that aren't even in the show. Then for the coup de grace we can needlessly kill off someone at random. Anybody else using this thread to prevent themselves from beginning any of these shows? The Last Man on Earth, awesome show, didn't know they were getting cancelled, left us with a major cliffhanger that was never resolved. Heroes. Pretty Little Liars, I am still so mad at how bad the ending of that show was. As an old guy. Anybody else remember Northern Exposure? Got first 7 seasons, houses fighting long wars for years to see who should sit on the Iron Throne. Got season 8 last 5 minutes, how about Bran? Everyone, okay.jpg. Removed. The 100, the whole last season was messed up. I'm amazed that Gilmore Girls, A Year in the Life is not very high on this list. Complete character butchering by a resentful writer who could not write the final season 10 years earlier. Killing Eve. Please end Grey's Anatomy before it ends us. I wouldn't say Lucifer's finale was bullshit, but I wish Chloe and Lucy would have gotten to be a couple more when Chloe was alive, but they waited until she died. What was normal 20 to 30 years ago, but is considered a luxury now. New furniture made out of real wood. Owning the software you purchased. Paying no more than 30% of your income in rent. Not being expected to be reachable 24/7. Concert ticket prices. I remember as a kid, where I live they would allow people to just visit an area of the airport from where they could see the runway and flights take off. They didn't have to pay anything for it. People would spend hours just looking at flights take off and land. Edit. To everyone saying this is still doable in many parts of the world, that's great. I haven't been to those parts of the world yet, and where I come from one would still need to pay a certain amount to get in and watch from a glass cabin or so. Back in the day, there would just be a gate on the airport ground, a small barricade where you could just stand for hours and nobody would bother. Retirement plan built into your job. Photographs on actual photographic paper. I know it's still possible, but oh so rare. Farmers markets. You used to be able to go down and get fruit and vegetables cheaper than the grocery store. Now it seems like they charge 3x more than stores do. Getting things repaired instead of buying new. Privacy. Being left the fuck alone. Buying something and just owning it. Playing a video game without an internet connection. Not having to provide your email address for every single fucking thing you do. Single income families buying a home. Good quality fabric in clothing. I have clothes from the 90s, and 80s from my mother, that still hold up today. These days, I'm lucky if my shirt isn't saggy and misshapen within a year. Being able to go out every Friday after work and being able to afford it.